Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I always get, whenever I get an invite on here, I'm like, oh, so excited. So thank you.
We get so excited to have our data queen, Erika Craft. Do you like that, data queen?
I like it. I do like it. I'll take a crown next, please.
I think that's a really, really nice thing to say, and it makes me feel bad because I always call Erika data nerd.
That's true.
And now I'm changing that forever. Data queen is actually
data
what
royalty.
I think that's the best
part
part is that both can exist. You can be a queen, but you can also be a nerd, and both are great.
Well,
yes.
And I love nerds. I didn't
What an
ever mean that as a
empowering message.
disparaging. I do
Our
love a
work
nerd.
here is done today. This is The Naturalist. In every episode, we're covering the products, ideas, and trends that are shaping the CPG industry.
Or that we just really like.
Well, yes, welcome. So good to see you,
you.
Erika. How's Florida?
Thank you. Actually, it's great. We just hit 63% humidity, which it's normally like 85. So I've been like in and out throughout the day, and it's my mood today has significantly increased because I can do that. So good.
Well, you're always in a good mood.
No,
Anyways. So I wouldn't.
I try.
I thought it was funny, though, a couple weeks ago, we were chatting on a call and you said, well, and because I live in Florida, I never go outside.
Yeah, exactly. It's a struggle. Going from Southern California to Florida is no joke. But I hear in Colorado all the leaves are changing, which sounds very nice.
Yes.
Peak around here.
Yes.
So what are we going to talk
we're not
about
here
today?
to talk about the seasons.
Yeah.
We could
We're
keep
here.
going, but
To talk about
Yes.
NBJ's latest report, the Sports
Yeah.
Nutrition Report. That's why we wanted Erika on today, because we always love getting all the latest coming from these reports. If you don't know NBJ, it's Nutrition Business Journal. It does market sizing and data and insights around the supplement and nutrition industry, and also expanding into other areas of CPG, but comes out with various reports over the course of the year, as well as has a journal. So much great information about not just what's happening in the industry now, but where things are heading, which is what I love about NBJ. So, Erika, the latest report just came out within the past week or so.
Oh, yes. I believe about 2 to 3 weeks ago, maybe. I think it was beginning of this. Oh my gosh. I'm realizing today is September 30th. I'm like, beginning of this month. That was a month ago, Erika. That's not. Yes. Yeah, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just came out, but we've been doing the research throughout the year, and yeah, it's really great to see all of the different insights that feed into this report, especially with the consumer research that we do. So within this report, it's kind of complementary to SBR, Supplement Business Report, as well as Condition-Specific Report. And I kind of like to describe it as like a Venn diagram of industries, right? So we kind of have like the supplement industry over here, and then the sports nutrition, weight management industry over here. And there's like a Venn diagram. So while the industries are technically a little bit different, there is some overlap. So sports nutrition powders, for example, we track that within the supplement business model. But in the sports nutrition weight management, that's heavily influenced by the energy and hydration beverage market. And so when you think, like Red Bull and Alani News and Celsius, like it's a little bit different than the traditional supplement market of vitamins, minerals, herbs. So that's kind of the difference between the reports. But as we know, I mean, there's still so much interest within the sports nutrition and weight management categories that it's interesting to have insights that are different for both.
so what are some of the big takeaways from the report?
Oh, I know
that's a huge question.
I know. And it's so hard to just like pick a couple, but the first one that comes out into my head, there was an article, I think that Rick wrote to a couple weeks ago, just talking about how 68% of that sports nutrition weight management market is made up of energy and hydration. So it's like, that's such a significant amount. And MBJ used to just kind of track them as one category, because even within energy and hydration, there's still a lot of overlap. Like, I think a good example is Liquid IV just came out with an energy powder. And it's like, do you count that as hydration or do you count it as energy? Because there's energy on the package, but it's probably doing both. So anyway, so we did break those out a couple years ago. And so it's interesting to kind of see the different growth between the two, which I believe hydration is growing a bit faster than energy, but both are like around 12 to 13%. And so those two growth totals for that significant amount of market share creates a lot of added dollars each year. So, and I don't know if it's going to stop anytime soon. People love it.
And Erika, because you had helped me when I was working on a presentation for Nutrition Capital Network around like some of the trends that we believe really have staying power and why. One of those areas was around functional beverages, wellness beverages, and then specifically we talked about hydration. And I think at that point I had like close to $18 billion is the market for the hydration beverage market. Is that right? Because now looking back on that number, I was like, that is massive.
It sounds right. When you put numbers to it, I'll pull it up really quick. When you put numbers to it, it's just so staggering to like think about how big it really is and how so many new products are coming out every year when it's like already such an overly whelming large market. But
and
like I said, there's still need there.
Oh, sorry, Erika. I get excited about hydration. Anyone who knows me, yet I never drink water.
We've never talked about that before.
I thought you were getting better about it, though.
I'm better. I'm
sure.
Better. So I sometimes drink water. I went from never to sometimes.
Never to sometimes.
But Eric, I thought it was interesting when you were talking about trying to figure out where it sits when you're doing that market sizing, because that's one of the trends we've called out is these multifunctional beverages. So a hydration beverage that's also providing energy or gut health support or brain health. So it's interesting, like, how do you make those decisions? Like, where does this product go when we are seeing so much blending of benefits in not just beverages, but overall the supplement category too?
Yeah, I think mostly we're going off of what the product packaging says. That's kind of like our go-to. And of course, it's the easiest. But you know, we also look at the ingredients as like what's in the product as well. So let's take the Liquid IV energy example. If majority, over 50% of the ingredients that are in that product are more hydration focused, we might actually do a little bit of both, like allocate some sales towards energy and then some towards hydration, because it is still true. They are marketing it as an energy product. I'm sure it has caffeine in it. I actually haven't looked at the ingredient list, so I don't know exactly what they put in there. But it kind of just depends on how they're formulating it and how they're marketing it. Short answer.
So it depends how the brand is actually putting it out there themselves.
How they're positioning it, yeah.
And then I had a question about, the energy market. One thing that we had talked about a little while ago was that we're seeing a lot of caffeine-free energy drinks. Is that still a thing?
I think what the trend is within that is more of this clean energy and less of like a crash, right? Typically with these energy products, especially in the sports industry, it's like C4 or Monster, energy drinks where it's like 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine. I mean, Celsius is the same way. It's just so much caffeine in one little can. Some people, whether it's in the morning or the afternoon, they need a little pick-me-up. They don't want this huge crash afterwards. And so it's like, I want a little bit of caffeine, but I don't want all of this caffeine. And so I think that consumers are just trying to look for ways to kind of personalize their caffeine intake, where it's also more reliable than like a cup of coffee, for example. Sometimes when you drink coffee, sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's not. And so that's also the nice part of energy drinks is you know what you're getting when you're buying it. And so I think that there are a lot of brands out there that are being really innovative in terms of choosing other ingredients to kind of give you that boost that you might want. Adrienne, I know I've sent you a product before. It's like a stimulant-free pre-workout that I love, that I've talked about a bunch too. And it uses beta alanine, which kind of gives you the endurance that you might need towards, your performance, your sports performance, but it could be desk computer performance too. So
definitely need some endurance there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we kind of dove into some of the specific categories, but I wanted to take a step back for a second, Erika, and just ask, like, why sports nutrition? Why do you continue to focus so much on this category? And what's more kind of dynamic about it now? Because I think it's fascinating what's happened with this space, and you're obviously so close to it. So why another sports nutrition report, and what's special this year?
So the why behind this report. So this is kind of also one of MBJ's like staple yearly reports. So there's that, but I also think that there's a lot of need within this market to understand like all of the different dynamics, like you said, that are happening and what's growing in terms of like I was mentioning, the energy and hydration. There's a lot of nuance within that category, but also, you know, the sports nutrition powder market, which we track within the supplement business report. But we also track within this report and really show like, okay, within powders, like is whey growing more than animal-based powders? Is collagen doing well? Like those collagen type protein powders, which we didn't really see much of, you know, 5 to 10 years ago. And that's really blown up. And also creatine as well is in that category. And we also just broke out a new ingredient called HMB. It's a really small market. It's around like 10 million total in sales, which is pretty small when you compare it to creatine that's around like 500 million. But there's a lot of new ingredients that are kind of starting to come up, and I think we'll start to see a lot more. And, you know, we're really trying to be ahead of that curve and really track new innovative ingredients. So
Premier Research Labs, PRL, founded in 1987 by visionaries Dr. Robert Marshall and Dr. Linda Forbes, is a trailblazer in professional-grade nutritional supplements, driven by purity, fueled by innovation, and unwavering in its commitment to uncompromising quality. Born from the conviction that not all supplements are created equal, PRL redefined the industry with excipient-free, 100% plant-based formulas, solvent-free capsules, and extraordinary manufacturing practices that honor the body and the earth. With rigorous orthogonal and energetic testing, rejecting over 70% of raw materials that did not meet our exacting standards, PRL sets a premier benchmark for safety, potency, and trust. Guided by our mission to transform global wellness and anchored in the core values of transformation, extraordinary, and community, PRL empowers practitioners, patients, and conscious consumers to pursue optimal vitality, continuing to inspire a healthier, more connected world for today and for generations to come.
And there is something in there. You said is whey growing more, and I think you meant plant-based proteins. I think you said animal-based, but plant-based proteins. And that's one of the things that's so fascinating to me is what's happening. I mean, is plant-based protein deader than a porterhouse steak? Like, is it done? What's the deal?
oh man, I don't know if I want to be the person to say this, but my opinion is I don't know about deader than a porterhouse steak. That's so funny. But I will say I think all of the hype that it got 3 to 5 to let's say 7 years ago, I don't think that that is still the case today. I think people are kind of reversing their thoughts and saying, okay, well, let's take a step back here and look at some of these plant-based powders and see like what's actually in here. And so when sometimes certain brands, there's a lot of ingredients and there's this whole clean label, cleaner ingredient movement that consumers are really looking for in their products. And typically with a whey protein, it's just whey. And so I think consumers are really looking for like really simple ingredients and packaging. Although on the flip side, so while I do think these more animal-based, specifically whey, is growing really well, there's still a lot of people like myself who can't digest whey. Whey is really tough on the digestion system. So it's like plant-based isn't going to go anywhere because you still have all of these people who maybe don't want that solution and that might be easier for them. They just want some fruits and vegetables to include in their diet. But I will say I think that whey and animal-based will continue to be the driving force.
Well, and I would just interject too that, 5 years ago, finding sustainable grass-fed whey or organic, it wasn't I mean, it's really, really hard to find. I mean, I like unsweetened organic whey, grass-fed. So, and I couldn't find it, or it was really difficult. So I think the availability of more sustainable meat and animal products, including whey, have really opened up that market for people that want clean, sustainable, ethical products, but weren't willing to sacrifice that in order to just buy any old whey powder. So
yeah, and it's interesting that we've tracked that across food and beverage. We've talked about this, but animal products, meat and dairy are two of the fastest growing in the food and natural and organic food and beverage space. And then also seeing that whey is really dominating the sports nutrition space and protein supplements. So just kind of interesting across the board, and absolutely agree with you, Adrienne, that the options are better. The communication around the sustainability and the health profiles of these products and ingredients have improved. So I'm curious to see where that goes. But same, like I still buy plant-based protein powders, and I feel like a lot of the people I know do. So it's just interesting. But I would imagine because we saw that huge surge in popularity and then have kind of seen that dip. So I know that's just one part of the conversation, Erika, but that surprise always continues to surprise me. And just whey, there are so many great whey products, Adrienne. I know we're going to talk about some of them, but I did want to ask you too quickly, Erika. I know a lot of what you do in these reports is about the consumer and consumer behaviors. So were there any things about consumers as it relates to kind of how they're interacting or engaging with the sports nutrition category that was surprising to you?
I don't have anything on the sports nutrition side off the top of my head, because when I think about this report and the consumer research we did behind it, I actually thought the weight management survey that we did was even more interesting, because we basically targeted 1,000 US consumers who said they want to lose 10 pounds or more. And we asked them a series of questions. And typically what we've done in previous reports is we just survey, consumers who buy any type of meal or weight management supplement. But this was kind of going after it in a different way and thinking about it more in like broadening that group of people who say they want to lose weight. And so it was really interesting to get at some of the attitudes behind why they're looking for these products and their type of thinking when it goes into losing weight, the types of exercise that they're doing, their relationship with GLP-1s. That was really interesting. We actually found that more men than women say that they're currently on a GLP-1, which I wouldn't have thought that one gender or sex over the other would be taking it more. I thought it would have been pretty even. So that was interesting to me. And then we also asked, what are some things that you're doing to lose weight? And dietary supplements was pretty high on that list. So whether it was specifically to shed pounds or not, I'm not 100% certain, because it was just kind of like, what are you trying to do to lose weight? But it could have been, these companion products that we're seeing with the GLP-1 space, where it's like kind of getting at that nutrition side and trying to make you healthier rather than like a protein powder designed for you to lose weight. So it's interesting to see all the different offerings that are coming up. So other categories that we track within this report: nutrition bars and gels. Not really a lot going on in that space. Don't come at me, people who are in that category. I know there's still a lot of exciting things going on, but I think it's to this point of like, I think there are a couple whey protein bars out there, but it's so hard to crack a bar that tastes good, has good texture, and has clean ingredients, and is like maybe lower in sugar. Like whenever I talk to people and I crowdsource different types of products to try, that category is one that I do feel is lacking. So I'm not sure if anyone's really cracked that code yet, but that presents opportunity, which is great. So if anyone has a bar that they would like for me to try, I will happily try it.
Well, I would encourage that you watch the most recent episode of the British Bake Off, because they made British flapjacks, which are not pancakes. They're bars. They're these oat bars with nuts and fruits and whatever. So maybe that's the secret to cracking that code. We can steal a couple recipes off of there and put them in the marketplace.
Yeah. Gosh, the different words. You had me at flapjacks. I'm like, pancakes, protein pancakes. I'll have some of those. But yeah, so, and I'm sorry, I'm thinking also about the Kodiak Cakes brand. That's a really interesting brand because they're so like protein heavy, but that's not the sports market. So I will stay focused and stay on track.
Sorry to distract you with breakfast foods.
No, it's okay. I love breakfast. It's one of my favorite meals of the day. The other category that we track is the functional sports protein beverages. So basically think your sports RTDs. That's doing pretty well. It's around 6 to 7% growth, which is, it's pretty good for the category. It's about 1.6 billion in terms of size. Again, there's still a need for that convenience piece of having protein on the go. There was a market manifestation that we put in the report that I thought was interesting was Premier Protein. Those little Premier Protein balls, they've been around for a really long time. And they just came out with, well, actually, I'm not sure how new it is, but it has almond milk in it. Typically, this brand hasn't been, non-dairy or had like more vegan alternatives. It's actually interesting. I'm wondering if it has whey or if it's like totally plant-based. Probably plant-based if they're doing non-dairy, if I had to guess. But you diversifying
we'll look it up
their
in the fact
offerings. Check. Yes, fact check me on that.
Erika, what about, is there anything, Adrienne, I always think about that interview that we did at Expo talking about women's sports nutrition products and the intersection of women's health, sports nutrition, and hormonal health. And it kind of just like blew my mind at that time when we were talking about, performance and optimization based on your cycle and different stages of your cycle, which can obviously influence, your fatigue levels or your strength and endurance during those certain times. So as we look at this crossover between like protein, women's health, hormonal health, Erika, I'm curious if you've seen anything, not just targeting women specifically, but people of certain ages, certain need states, and bringing sports nutrition into that, because obviously based on where we are in life and even where we are as women in cycles, that influences how we perform, in all different ways. So anything there that we should be looking for?
Yeah. And I would say this is really exciting to me because we could probably do a whole other tangent on this, intersection of women's health and at different times of your cycle doing different foods and exercises and like kind of just being more aware of your body. But I think that this is going to be a space that has a lot of growth and a lot of opportunity because I think women, let's call between 25 and 45, I think are just like really in this stage of like, where do I need to be? What do I need to be consuming? They want more information. And so I think we're starting to see a lot more brands, specifically in the last like year, even I would say, that are launching products specifically for certain times of your cycle I would actually say that's mostly what it is right now. It's just for different times of your cycle. And the exercise piece too, I don't know if it's just my algorithm or it's becoming more popular, but a lot more people are talking about it. And so I think this education piece around it and brands that are leading with that education and then having a product to say, hey, and based on this video or this content that we posted, like, here's a product that we suggest. I think that there's a lot of growth there and just different nutrients that you'd need at different times. And I think it's awesome.
I love that, Erika. I also love that that's your algorithm because you would be absolutely horrified if you saw mine. I'm like, where my sister's like, you need to somehow reset this because the things that you see, it's like those sorority dances, like choreographed sorority routines and then self-sufficient babies. I'm not sure if you've seen that. So it's really all
in my algorithm.
Mine is all cats. Give me some of your algorithm.
My algorithm right now is, like the women's, like at different times of your cycle. And it's all about TCM, traditional Chinese medicine right now. It's all about like how different organs can show you different symptoms and how these all lead to this like one thing. Like if your liver's off, it's just, it's fascinating.
Well, I think we do need to do an episode about this in the future. It sounds very timely and interesting.
Yeah.
So like it or not, you will be back, Erika.
Yes. Oh, I will happily be back. Happily. Happily.
Adrienne, you had pulled a few of the products, Whey products in particular, that you're seeing coming through. What are some of those before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just think it's fun because we're seeing Whey in so many different kinds of products. So, of course, the typical protein powders, but especially at Newtopia now, we had 3 different ice creams or frozen desserts. There was Eider frozen treat, also one called what was the frozen one? Also had, I think, 40 grams of protein. And then, of course, we all love that Charo, the Greek yogurt froyo. They also add in some Whey. So I thought that was really interesting, just seeing such an explosion of Whey in kind of these indulgent products. Another one that I liked, I mean, of course, you mentioned the Kodiak pancakes. Heavenly Waffles has been doing a lot of really interesting things. They had those really protein-rich waffles that they launched last year. Now they have these gluten-free yogurt-based protein waffles. Of course, we've also seen different superfood things. Defy Snacks has these crispy superfood bites with Whey and dark chocolate. So just lots of different manifestations. And then you had told me about this product, Erika, the Clean Simple Eats, which I know is known for its protein powder, but they also have protein beverages, which is certainly a trend. We've seen some waters with protein added to them. So Clean Simple Eats has a whole line of sparkling beverages and then also sodas with added Whey. So just lots of different ways that we can, lots of different ways.
Every time I've heard it on this episode.
I know. I can't not do it. I can't not.
Yes.
No.
And I think that's interesting because obviously most of those products, I would have to look at the whole list, are not in the sports nutrition category.
Right.
They're more in the functional food. And Erika, you'd have to check us on that and see where you would put them when you're going through your market sizing. But to just see Whey products leaping out of sports nutrition into these functional food categories in particular is really interesting. And within that, we talked about this a little bit, but just like getting a really clean, simple source of the Whey. And for all of these protein products, what is the source? What is I think it was Clean Simple Eats, or maybe it was one of those other products that talked about being ultra filtered, which I thought was really interesting. Yeah. To get it really clean, pure, and bioavailable. So lots of cool things happening. I love that list, Adrienne, because it just shows how diverse the ingredient has become. Also, your eyes look nice against that backdrop there in the office.
It's kind of a crazy backdrop happening. So I got the reflection of the mountains and the windows, but I'm here for it.
I am too.
Thank you. Well, thanks so much for being here, Erika. As always, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. I always learn so much. I'm the data queen. And please rate and subscribe.
Thank you, guys. This is always fun. And I'm sure we could have kept talking about it. But hopefully we got some good high-level insights. And if anyone's interested in learning more, feel free to check out the report. It's on our website.
Yeah. Come back soon.